Hey, what is going on, guys? It is Melontosh here, and I'm back for my MPL draft analysis. If you did not see the hype video that was uploaded, I believe it was last week, then I am in the MPL. I have made my return after I didn't really try in the first season, to be honest. I took over for Bluesy, and to be honest, I wasn't really sure if I wanted to take over anyways. But it's a really good league, and it definitely helped me get in this time. So I guess regarding that way, it was definitely good for me to have that season, because now it gave me a segue into the league. I'm actually going to try my best to actually upload this time rather than last time where I didn't really upload at all. So I think what I'm going to have to do is actually upload and do my games this time. So the draft was, I was near the end of the draft. Seems to be a theme going on with my drafts at the moment, that I'm getting some bad spots lately, but that it is what it is. Eventually it will come around and I get some good spots, and that'll be a good time. And I'll finally get to use Celesteela or Tapu Koko, which I have never got to use. So, somehow, to me, Kyurem did fall, so I went and grabbed Kyurem Black. I'm actually not the biggest fan of Kyurem Black. It's one of those mons that I've never really been able to use, like, efficiently on the ladder. But it's also one of those mons that's always absolutely annihilated me. So it's like, I thought I'd give it a whirl. It was, in my opinion, either that or Manaphy were the best things left on the board, and I really wanted to try Kyurem. I also thought there was a good chance I was going to get my Mega, which is my next Mega, as was near the end, and that is Mega Diancie, and I figured that was a really good core. I saw Ben, aka Shiny Sableye, and his Baltimore Orioles draft the exact core that I've got in the GPC. I had to play it week 1, and it was really hard to prep for, because Diancie and Kyurem both can be physical and special, so it's like you have to have mixed walls, otherwise you're kind of screwed, and you have to check them offensively, which isn't always the easiest thing to do, as Kyurem has very good bulk. And Diancie can run Rock Polish, in which case your Scarf is not going to outspeed. Most of your stuff really isn't going to outspeed a Rock Polish Diancie. Both of them are absolutely humongous threats. With Diancie is on 160 in both, and Kyurem has that 170 attack stat. So my first two picks, I've got like, what, an average of 165 attack stat. That's pretty good to me. Diancie, of course, gives me the Dragon and the Fairy for the Dragon Fairy Steel Core. It does give me one Rocker, and it has Magic Bounce ability, so it's kind of like a Defogger kind of thing, but I wouldn't really count it as either, because Diancie is an offensive mon, you know. I don't really want to be risking it switching into hazards unless I'm sure, or unless it's against a mon that I'm really sure can't hurt Diancie. Like, I don't know. I can't think of anything else off my head, but likely I won't be switching on in Diancie, but it's still going to be in the back of my opponent's mind, as it is something I can do. I can get a little bit crazy sometimes. I think everyone knows that. So, yeah, those are my first two nons. So next came around to me, and I was really hoping from the beginning that this thing would come around to me, and it was Jirachi. I'm really surprised that it lasted this long. It's a really great mon. Again, it's actually something that I've never ever got the chance to use. I've seen it used a lot, and I don't really use it a lot on the ladder either, but I know it's a great mon, so hopefully I can use it to the best of its abilities. And I think I'm starting to put more importance on a good steel type, because in my GPC team, Fortress is my steel type, which, don't get me wrong, Foray is a good steel type, but it's not a great steel type, and I don't know, I think it's really nice to have a good steel type. Its fairies are so good in the format, dragons are so good in the format, like, it's just nice having a really solid steel type. So that's what I got here in Jirachi. It gives me another actual stealth rocker, as this thing will be able to run stealth rocks pretty reliably in my opinion. So next up, the wheel came round, and I really wanted to try this mon for so long. It was Suicune, and I really didn't think I was going to get it if I waited, and also I didn't really have anything on my mind, because obviously my core was really expensive and we did have a point style draft. I didn't really have anything on my mind that was really too expensive or really wanted to go, to be honest. From here, I knew I wanted to use Suicune because I haven't used it yet, and I've seen it used, and every time I have to prep for Suicune, it drives me insane. I hate prepping for this thing, and I was like, you know what, I'm actually going to use this thing. I think it'll be really fun to use it. I mean, hopefully I can use it to its fullest potential. It's a great wall. It actually pairs really quite nicely with Jirachi. So I think the team's looking pretty good so far. So next up was the ones went all the way around and all the way back. To be honest, I didn't really have a plan, and I felt a bit rushed. I didn't want to keep everyone waiting. It was late, and I went ahead and picked up Rotom Mo. I figured it would be a good defogger for my team, which I was lacking quite considerably. And with Kyurem Black, you do want good hazard removal. And to be honest, it's way too early for Rotom. Let's be honest, it's round 5, and no one picks Rotom Mo round 5. That's really bad, but I do think it fits my team really, really well, and it is an annoyance, and it's a really good one. It gives me a grass type, so now I have my grass, the grass type from my core, and I have an electric type, which is really cool for my Current Black and my Diancie, and also an electric type. My default game can now pressure out a lot of things that are going to want to set up stealth rocks down, you know, ground types, rock types, of that kind of sort with its grass typing, so that's really cool. Unfortunately, I mean, at the moment my eyes are on Kiram as a Z-move user, and unfortunately I don't have enough points for Kiram and Rotom. That would be really, really good. I think I was 1 point off, so if the vote went one different way, because we voted on how many points, then I could have got that, which would have been really, really good, but alas, we were not able to get it. So next up, I grabbed Salazzle. I wanted a ground, like a grounded poison type to absorb those sticky webs, as I figured those could be really annoying. Sticky webs, toxic spikes, as those could be really annoying for my team. And potentially wearing down Diancie, wearing down the Suicune, wearing down the Kyurem are all mons that kind of like to be at a decent amount of health, as they can take one hit most of the time. It's also got really great speed stat, which I was kind of lacking otherwise. I didn't have anything over base 110 so far. It gives me a fire type to round up my 2 cores as well. And I actually think Salazzle's really underrated. I think it's a really great mon. Corrosion can be more useful in the draft league format than in standard play, because I don't know, quite often, I mean, okay, steals aren't regularly going to want to switch in on me, because I am a fire type as well as a poison type, which is why the corrosion ability isn't as good as people say. But it also allows me to poison types, which is actually really quite good, because you could get a bulky poison type, like Gobodor could switch in relatively well into Salazzle, a Mega Venusaur, even Empoleon. It would be good to get a Toxic off on that thing. So I do think Salazzle's corrosion ability is cool. I can run Oblivious if, I don't know, I want to run Encore and Oblivious. I don't really know when I'm really going to be running Oblivious. I guess, like, yeah, I don't know when I'm going to, because if I'm running a like a support set, the likelihood is I'm going to have Toxic and I'm going to want Corrosion, and that's kind of the reason for me bringing that support set. So the likelihood is I'm not going to be bringing Oblivious. So kind of, if you are just going offensive, kind of two not so great abilities, but still, it would be great if Salazzle could hit steel types with like poison moves in general, so like they'd be hit neutrally by Sludge Wave. That would be awesome. And same with poison types, something like that. That would be really, really cool. So next up, I didn't have too many points left, and I realized I really wanted a Toxic Spiker and a Spiker. I thought it paired really well with my Current Black Mega Diancie core, and I also wanted some speed, so I figured, oh hey, a Selgor's there. Luckily, if I'd done this draft differently, I would have grabbed a Selgor, Salazzle, then Rotom Mo, but luckily a Selgor was still there for me. Like I said, gives me a really, really great speed stat, 145, a really respectable special attack stat with 100, actually got a decent HP as well, so you can run some fun stuff with the Selgor, that is for sure. Spikes and T-Spikes are really, really great. I can lead with this thing against the teams that maybe don't have the best hazard removal. So yeah, I really like a Selgor. I think it's going to be great for me. It gets access to Sludge Bomb. It's just a great mon. It got Toxic Spikes this generation, which really makes it better. And also, Water Shuriken being special also gives it a slight buff, because it gets priority that's usable rather than Water Shuriken, which is a physical, and you don't really want to be running physical as Selgor all too often with that 70 base attack. So next up, I really needed a dark type, to be honest. And Honchkrow fit the bill really quite well, actually, and this thing hits like a truck. It gives me another wall breaker, it gives me some flying spam, it gives me some more priority, which I was kind of lacking. The only priority I had at this point was nothing. I didn't have any priority, so oops. It gives me the Sucker Punch priority, it gives me a dark type, it gives me a flying type, a ground immunity, which is really nice. And actually gives me another defogger, which I'm kind of lacking on right now, let's be honest. I've only got the Rotom as my defogger, so it does give me another defogger, which is definitely something that I could use with. It's like a Scarf set could come with defog, something like that. I could see that happening. And this thing really hits so hard, and it gets Moxie, which is really good, and Super Luck if I want to run a. I can't remember who it was. I think it was Jar. Run Super. What's it called? Scope Lens. Yeah. He runs Scope Lens. Super like Honchkrow, and it literally, I mean, he got very lucky with it too, but it crit me pretty much every single time, and I would have won with my Snorlax had this thing not crit it with a superpower. So definitely some, like, I could run that for a bit of fun if I want to, and yeah, but most of the time I'm going to be running Moxie, because that makes my Sucker Punches insanely powerful, especially with like Life Orb. If I get to +1 Life Orb, that does a lot of damage to a lot of things. So next up, I wanted a ground type, and I wanted another Stealth Rocker, and I figured Mudsdale's reasonably cheap, and actually a really great mon. With base 100s in both defensive, it takes hits pretty well, especially with stamina. It can really take those those physical hits really quite well. Like yeah, it just does it really, really well. It can run AV to take special hits as well, and can be, if you invest in special defense, it will be pretty bulky on the special side. So I do think it's a good mon. It has good attack stat as well. Its coverage isn't actually too great, but to be honest, it's one of those mons where I'm going to want Stealth Rocks, I'm going to want Earthquake, and then I can run Toxic, I can run Rest, or I can run other move, insert other move, Close Combat, Iron Head, whatever it is, Protect even, to get myself more leftovers. But maybe it has some cool stuff that I can have a look into. I haven't looked too deeply into its lovely moveset here, but it doesn't seem to have too much. Its special attack stat is a bit trash, so I don't see it me running Hidden Power Ice anytime soon. But offensive could be cool a couple times. You know, banned. Body Slam's always a chance if I want to get some powers. So that is Mudsdale, basically a pretty reliable Stealth Rocker in my opinion, as I was lacking on those. But now I do have 3 if you include Diancie. I have 2 without the Diancie. I then have Hitmontop here. As I really wanted more removal and I wanted reliable removal. I didn't want to have to bring Rotom Wash every week. Rotom Mo, sorry, every week. So this gives me a spinner as well as a Defogger, which is always nice, considering I do have a Selgor in the Toxic Spikes and Spikes. So this also gives me some more priority as this thing gets Sucker Punch, Mach Punch, and Fake Out, and it gets Technician, so they can actually be quite powerful. So that would count as powerful priority, in my personal opinion. It's not that great I'm going to be honest with you. It gives me a fighting type, which is nice, but I do think it's going to have its moments where it can do well, and in certain matchups it is going to do well. It wasn't too expensive, and yeah, originally I wanted Hitmonlee, but it's a bit more expensive, and I figured having Intimidate was actually really nice for my team, because I think I've been drafting a bit too offensively these last 2 weeks, as I'm kind of better as a more offensive team, but with some bulk behind it. I think that's where I lie, whereas I kind of thought that I'd be better like hyper offensive, but doing with my GPC at the moment, I really like my team, but I do wish I had some more bulk. So yeah, some more backbone. Even in prep, it just matters a lot. So yeah, so that is why we got the Hitmontop here. Next up is Xatu. I absolutely adore this thing. I think it's such a great pick for its. I had it in the NPAA, and it's such a great pick for its value. It's so underrated. Magic Bounce is so good. It has Heat Wave. The amount of Stealth Rockers it can come in on is unbelievable. So I now have 2 Magic Bouncers. This gives me another Defogger as well. I've run Magic Bounce Defogger in this thing multiple times. Gives me another ground immunity as well, which is kind of cool because ground kind of poops on my team. But I do have a few immunities, but I don't really have a resist, you know? I don't really have a resist because my grass type is levitating. So it is what it is though. This thing, and it doesn't look bulky, but it is. If you invest heavily in its SPDF or its special attack, then it can come in on Mega Venusaur. It can come in on a Tangrowth. Like, it's so good against bulky mons as well, just because it has that Magic Bounce, so they can't Toxic it. They can't do anything against it, and Xatu can get a Toxic off against them. It actually has decent move pool. I can T-Wave things. I really like Xatu, and I really think it's underrated in the draft format. It has decent speed too, which is really cool because bulky mons with good speed are really desirable at the moment because of all the slower stuff that is just hits so hard. So if you can outspeed them, then you can get Rusoff and blah 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 blah. I'm really happy to have this team. I do think it's a pretty good team, actually. I don't see many holes in it. There are a few. I would have liked another good Stealth Rocker. But I think Jirachi and Mudsdale can hold their own, and Diancie, if I need it to, really can really hold their own in the Stealth Rocks game. Suicune's going to be really annoying to deal with, along with the Rotom Mo and Jirachi. I think that's a really good call with Mudsdale too. I really think that's a cool call to be building around a Selgor too, so I've got the speed. I really like this team. Tell me what you guys think of the team in the comment section down below. Maybe there's some holes I'm seeing. Like okay, of course there are weaknesses in the team, but let me know what you guys think the weaknesses are. What kind of mons you think I should have picked up instead of this mon? What do you think is do you think the Fairy Dragon Steel Core is broken, or do you think it's not going to be that good because it's kind of weak to ground and stuff like that? Tell me what you think about the draft in general. I love to chat with you guys, but that is going to be all from me today, guys. If you are feeling like an absolute legend, make sure you go ahead and smash that like button. But other than that, I will smell you later.